You're listening to Soap Dirt, the latest in television entertainment news.
Hey, Y&R fans, Belinda from Soap Dirt here, and Jordan Howard's awful plans were thwarted. Very exciting news. Claire and Harrison are back home safe and sound. So what's next? Well, Victor Newman is going to get caught out for lying about Jordan's death. But the question is, who finds out he fibbed? Who finds Jordan in the basement? And how fast do they run and tell the rest of the family? Let's delve into this upcoming drama on the CBS soap. But first, please subscribe if you have not already. All right. So there's only two people in the world right now that know Jordan is alive. That's Jordan herself and the mustache, aka Victor Newman. And he's got her locked in a cage that he inexplicably has in his basement. But in fact, of interest, that cage ties directly back to that slice of Young and the Restless history that explains why Jordan hates the man so much. That cage, that whole soundproof basement thing, that happened 42 years ago, and it all looks pretty good for an antique situation. Victor first caged someone in the basement of the ranch way back in 1981. And yes, that whole scenario is very closely linked to the action happening right now, which is interesting, a little bit ironic. It's part of Jordan's origin story, the part of her crazy sister, Eve Howard, and how this all came to fruition. So, and of interest, just by the way, all of this ties into a real life tragedy that just happened. If you don't recall your Y&R history or aren't old enough to remember, I had to look it up, not old enough to remember myself. But when Victor first came to Genoa City, he was married to a woman named Julia Newman. She was played by the talented and beautiful Meg Bennett. And if you've not seen the news, Meg Bennett recently passed away on April 11th, 2024 at age 75. So here's the backstory. Victor basically kept Julia kind of secluded at the ranch for safekeeping while he was out doing business and bad mustache things, like having an affair with his assistant, Eve Howard, an affair that spawned an obsession in Eve with him and this modern day obsession in her equally crazy sister, Jordan Howard. Julia was trying to hold their marriage together, suggested they have a child. Victor's response: go get a vasectomy, without discussing it with her. Obviously, he had it reversed at some point because he's had several children since then. That happened, and Eve Howard showed up to tell Julia Newman that Victor had cheated with her, and that pushed Julia into an affair with this photographer that she had modeled for. So Victor kidnapped that guy, his wife's lover, and locked him in the cellar at what was that time a bomb shelter. It has evolved since then, but it's still a nice soundproof place to hold somebody prisoner. And he kept the guy there, letting him go hungry. And Victor set up a monitor so the guy could watch when Victor and Julia were in the bedroom doing the deed. Really, really bad form. And eventually Julia found out that her lover was being held prisoner, and she and Paul Williams let him loose. So now we have Jordan, ironically, in that same spot, but I'm guessing Victor's not going to give her a video live feed of him getting busy with Nikki Newman. Let's hope not. But it's very interesting to me that head writer Josh Griffith, who occasionally does get things right, added this basement captivity as a really cool callback to the Eve Howard days. And the timing was very strange because it just happened to coincide with Meg Bennett's passing in real life. So all things of interest. Like back then, somebody's going to find out Victor's got a captive down there. I saw a Twitter poll on who's going to be the one to find Jordan Howard in the basement. They had the choices of Nick, Adam, Claire, and Nikki being the top choice. But honestly, the number of respondents on the poll was pretty small. And Twitter polls are limited to just 4 options. And there are so many other people that might find out. I mean, Nikki is one to consider. So is Victoria, Victor's granddaughter, Claire. Then again, Cole might trip over her, or Nick Newman might. Adam's not even really part of this story. He's doing the OCD thing. So I would love to see him involved, but I don't see any reason he would be. Let's not forget that Lauren Fenmore is at the house a lot, and her hubby, Michael Baldwin, is Victor's pet legal eagle, and he is already suspicious of what is going on with the mustache. This week, Victor told Michael wait here, left him in the living room, and he went downstairs to interrogate Jordan again about where she was keeping Claire. Of course, as it turned out, Victoria and Cole found keys to apparently what is the only self-storage place in Genoa City, because they went right over to this one place and instantly found the correct door. That's very lazy writing, but all right, it is what it is. That means Victor doesn't need Jordan alive for any reason at all. No good reason to keep her breathing. And I suspect the only reason Victor didn't just kill her from the start was because she had kidnapped Harrison and Claire, and both of them were still missing at the point he chloroformed her and locked her down there. But now Jordan's life has no value to Victor Newman, so maybe he'll kill her and then no one will find her. I mean, that would be an interesting outcome. He could, drown her in a bathtub and toss her into the water, although on, NCIS and those murder shows, they always test the water in the lungs and it wouldn't match river water, So maybe he needs to get a big bucket of river water, drown her, then throw her in. Then it'll look like a drowning. But I don't see that happening. I suspect Jordan Howard may live to torment the Newmans another day, and that means she'll probably get out. Given the strength of those iron bars, I doubt she's going to break out of the basement on her own. Instead, I suspect someone is going to let her out. She's got no allies in town that we've seen, so she'll have to talk somebody into it or overpower somebody. Maybe Victor takes her out of there on his own and ships her off to South America to some dodgy, corrupt prison like he did to Marco Anicelli. But I think it's much soapier if somebody finds Jordan and Victor's big lie blows up in his face. Of the possible people that would and could find Jordan in the basement, my top two choices are Nikki Newman or Michael Baldwin. I think Michael is a very distinct possibility because he's nosy by nature. And he's already questioning Victor's statements about Jordan's supposed death and the fact they've not found her body. And Victor told Michael, the cops don't need to keep looking. That's very suspect because if she really had gone over that bridge, certainly Victor would want to confirm she's dead by having them dredge up her waterlogged corpse. So him not being concerned about confirming it smells fishy to Michael. And then, of course, Victor left him standing and ran down to the cellar. So, yeah, I could see Michael showing up to the ranch when Victor's not home, poking around, winding up in the basement, finding her. As for Nikki Newman, she might head down there looking for where Victor stashed all the vodka that was on the cart in the living room. Maybe she thinks he might have stuck it in the basement with the wine. And of course, she'd be stunned to see Jordan down there in a cage. And I could totally see Jordan provoking Nikki to face her like a woman and fight it out, especially if Nikki was not sober. That would certainly get the door unlocked. But I don't know of anyone that would just for no reason open that door and let her loose to run amok again. So we will definitely have to wait and see. But I feel like before May Sweeps is over, Victor's lie about Jordan's death will be outed and the villainess herself may be on the loose. I think it would be a satisfactory ending for her to wind up dead, but I really, really like Colleen Zenk, so I'm kind of hoping she lives to come back and cause trouble at a later date. Not right away, but later. Let me know what you think. Who do you want to find Jordan and bust Victor on his big fat lie? Let me know what you think. Drop your comments, subscribe if you haven't. Come back soon. As always, it's Belinda from Soap Dirt.
Thank you for being a loyal listener. Follow us wherever you get your podcast because you don't want to miss the next episode. Soap Dirt is on all the major podcast platforms, including Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and more.